Hello, family. Um, so let me start off by saying that I am eternally grateful for all of you that checked out the last video I did in regards to Kyrie Irving, the Hebrews to Negro story, and the scriptures that back them up. Thank you for viewing. If you can, go ahead, like, share these videos, any of the videos that you've seen thus far, because this is how we are going to change the world. This is how we are going to be able to do what we came here to do, and that is not only teach ourselves, but teach each other how to not only be better, but to create a better world. So, like I said, share this information with your family members, your friends, your loved ones, even share it with your enemies. Because the truth is, whether we like it or not, truth is coming out. Truth is truth. And truth is always going to find itself again. So, like I said, thank you to each and every one of you. I want to start off this video because we got a lot of ground to cover in this video. Um, but anyway, I want to start off with some if-then statements, if I can share those with you. All right. If-then statements. If I ain't got nothing, then I ain't got nothing to lose. Therefore, I got everything to gain. If I am humble, then I don't have to be humbled. Therefore, it's probably a good idea to stay humble. If I am responsible for creating a story or stories, then I am responsible for what those stories or that story creates. In the words of Fred Flintstone, he said it like this: without children, being a father means nothing. Now, with that being said, I was originally going to read the entirety of Ezekiel chapter 37 through 39. However, a good student likes to read things on their own so that they can get their own information out of what they read. And there are many sources online that will read those chapters to you. However, if any of you want me to read those chapters, then just hit me up. Let me know. You can email us at callbacktoorder22@gmail.com or leave a comment and we'll get to it. Okay. But what I am going to do is, glasses, is I am going to read a couple of scriptures out of Ezekiel 37 because when we read Ezekiel, I love the prophets. The prophets, ooh, 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 they talking right now. The ancient prophets is telling the whole kid and caboodle right now if we just pay a little attention. All right, so chapter 37 through 39 of Ezekiel is basically talking about the redemptive power of a father, and pretty much letting you know that even when the father gets mad at you for a little bit and turns his face away from you for a little while, the father loves his children. A father loves his children. Without children, there would be no reason to be a father. Being a father would mean no thing. So anyway, let's go to 37. I'm just going to read 37, chapter 37, verse 16, 19, and 24. Okay. So verse 16 says, "Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah, however you want to say that word, and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, his son, and for all the house of Israel, his companions." Okay, now let's go down to 19. "Say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand." Now let's go to 24. "And David my servant shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd." Okay. "They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them." Okay. So now, if you watched the previous video, we were talking about the descendants of Japheth and who they are. And in verse 38 of Ezekiel, you'll see the prophet talking about the descendants, those same descendants of Japheth. And what God is telling the prophet to say unto those groups of people. Now, with that being said, what we see in the scriptures that we just read, we see that they are talking about two particular brothers, which are Joseph and Judah. Now, Joseph is the son of Jacob and Rachel. Judah is the son of Leah and Jacob. Now, there's a whole lot of symbolism in the characters Joseph and Judah. We're only going to touch on a few things, but there's a whole lot of math to that. So with that being said, I took some notes here because I want to be able to do this pretty quickly. Let's talk about Joseph. Joseph is the father of Ephraim, who is mentioned in the scriptures that we just read. Joseph is also the interpreter of dreams. He is someone who can be considered the messianic figure of Egypt, as he saved much people alive in Egypt and the Egyptian peninsula around, in and around, those lands from starvation. Some also consider that Joseph is or could be the character Imhotep out of the Egyptian story as well. But those are stories for other days. What we also know is Joseph, and thus Ephraim's mama, is the high priestess of the house or the temple of On. And that's quite significant because what that means is that this marriage and Ephraim's mother and father, the lineage that he has within himself, is the line of Egypt and the line of the Hebrew. And Ephraim is very important because Ephraim is considered the ancestor of the legendary 10 lost tribes of Israel. So, now, with that being said, let's talk about the symbology of Joseph. That stick, which is, if you take a stick, what do it look like? It look like a straight line, right? That's what it looks like, right? Okay, so let's keep that in mind. This line, which can also be seen as a staff, which can also be seen as a standard, is saying unto Joseph is like a house of not only interpretation, but Joseph is a visionary. Joseph has the ability to see what most people miss. And this is how he is able to break down even other people's stories, other people's dreams, because he has the ability to see from different perspectives all at the same time. And so when we look at Zechariah 3, 7, 8, 9, I believe, when we look at those scriptures, what we see is that a seer has the ability to see as a crystal, as a stone, meaning from 7 different points of sight. So Joseph, if he is using the crystals within his pineal gland, he has the ability to see perspective and information from 7 different views or viewpoints at the same time. And so what we see here with Joseph is his father, who loved him, and thus his brothers hated him. He is a brother who is rejected by his brothers, but loved by his father, and thus given a coat of many colors. And the colors themselves can also represent sound, frequency, energy, and vibration. And so it's no wonder that Joseph, who was created by his mother and father, Rachel and Jacob, created Joseph out of a love story. And thus, he, being one of the younger brothers, has the ability to see the colors within a dream unlike any of his brothers can. Now, so, yeah, like I said. Now, Ephraim, who is Joseph's son, also the ancestor of the supposed 10 lost tribes or hidden tribes of Israel, is raised by his mama and his daddy. And his mama is a high priestess. So chances are that his mama is quite endowed with the information of the 42 laws of Ma'at and the morality or the moral code, the moral story. Now, we're going to Selah, pause, and think about that one. Because as far as I'm concerned, basically in the way that I see the Ephraim story, when we consider the 10 lost tribes, I see that in terms of also the symbolism of the angelic or hidden realms of what Ephraim means and who he is. Many times we consider angels as those who help to assist us along our journey. Let me ask you a question. If his story, Ephraim, has been hidden for at least 3,000 years or so, according to the chronology of the text, then who better to assist the descendants of Ephraim, even in their hidden and so-called lost state, other than those who derive from his line, who derive from his family. See, my granny, she don't need an interpreter to assist me in the unbreathable world. She has the ability to do that better than anybody would. Why? Because she knows me. Because I have her DNA flowing through the inside of me right now. So if she has crossed over to the unbreathable world, then she has the ability to communicate better than anybody would. That's just trying to interpret her story and then tell me about it and help me from a spiritual perspective. Anyway, let's talk about Judah. Let's talk about Judah. So we know that Judah's name, according to the scriptural text, means praise. Now, I want to stop right here and point out something extremely important. We're going to be diving into this in later videos. However, Judah's name means praise. Who named Judah? His mama. Because who would better know how to name him other than the person that birthed him out, that got to know him on the inside of herself? And when you read Genesis 29, what you see is Genesis 29 and 35. When you see that Leah, the rejected wife, names him, that's all she says according to the text. This time I'm going to praise God. And then she just left it there. She didn't say nothing else. So there's a whole lot in that. Because in melanated communities all around this planet, we know this based on our own family stories. whatever the mama is, the baby is. And so what we see is the Bible takes great pains to tell us about the Father's information and about who Father is. And the baby came from Father. But Father wouldn't be able to make a baby unless Mama gave him access to her womb. And so in order for us to balance these stories, see, this is how they have been hidden from their descendants, because the story is imbalanced. We see an emphasis put on the Father's story, but there is no even exchange. As important as Mama is to us, and in the words of my Mama Seeley, like our ancestors used to say, Mama's baby and Daddy's maybe all day, every day. Because you know when you came from Mama, and Mama know when she had you. That's understood, and what's understood don't necessarily need to be further explained. So anyway, I'm gonna get off of that, because when we start talking about Leah, that's gonna take a whole life in and of itself. So anyway, Judah is important because without Leah naming Judah, then we would not have the root word for Jew. She names him Judah, which means praise. And so the term Jew comes from him, derives from that. But he wouldn't have got that name without his mama naming him. Okay. We also know that Judah is the ancestor of David, and David is the ancestor of Jesus, or Yeshua. Okay, so we have in Joseph, Joshua or Yahshua coming from the line of Joseph, but Judah, Yeshua, comes from the line of Judah. All right? Okay, got that? All right. So now, like we said, this is Joseph's brother. Two different mamas, same daddy. All right. Judah, and this is the symbology I see with Judah. Judah comes from the opposite story of Rachel. Jacob and Rachel's story was a love story. However, Leah and Jacob's story is a story of order. She is not given a choice but to marry Jacob because Laban, her father, said so. And anyway, Laban marries Leah off to Jacob, whether she liked it or not. And so that's all about the particular protocols and order of the day. So her marriage to Jacob is about order versus love. And so Judah arrives through that line. And so what we see in his line, in David and in Yeshua, is the ability to tap into supernatural powers and supernatural wisdom and understanding, because Solomon, or Solomon, is, according to the scriptures, is David's son. Now, what we also see in the particular line of Judah, in the standard of Judah, is the overarching principle that is reunited with itself in the story of Jesus or Yeshua. Because in Matthew chapter 7, what happens is Jesus basically tells us that if you know how to treat folks like you want to be treated, you basically got the whole thing beat. Do unto others equal sign as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule or the golden principle. Okay? The golden one. So what we can see here is an emphasis on the principle itself, which is in exact alignment with the 42 laws of Ma'at, which the 10 commandments derive from, because the Bible also says that Moses knew all things Egyptian, including those 42 principles. So now what we have is, if the brother Judah and his line and the brother Joseph and his line unite and reunite themselves, then what we have is this truth reuniting itself with this truth, which is ultimately the same truth. And the 42 equals 1. And so if you viewed previous videos, then what you heard me say is that the number 42 was going to be significant in this season, because truth is testing out truth. Spirit is testing out spirit by way of spirit. This is what's happening. And this is what the big uptick and uproar is because the story of Joseph and the story of Judah has been hijacked for a very, very, very long time by others for whatever particular means, whether nefarious or not. They were hijacked. And now these stories are finding their way back home to their proper descendants. This does not declassify any particular sect of people, because what the scriptures also show us, and if we go back to Genesis chapter 10, is that even though Japheth is the father of the Gentiles, he shares the tent of his brother Shem in many ways. And we also see that Japheth's some of his descendants will assist Ezekiel 38 in the redemption story of these two lines of Joseph and Judah. So now, with that being said, like I said, these stories are being returned back to themselves. Truth is reuniting with itself, with truth. And it came like a thief in the night, didn't it? Just like Revelation said it would, just like the gospel said it would. It came like a thief in the night. And so while many was trying to do this drip, 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 drip story for as long as they possibly could, here, we're going to put this over here. We're going to put that over there. Put that over there. I'm going to slide that into that museum. And we're going to slide that into the Google the Google search. I'm going to slide that in, all this slipping and sliding. And then, boom, overnight. Just boom, overnight. A mass of people are introduced to information that many of them did not know. And so now I got people calling, asking me, well, Mara, is so is that our story? Yeah, it is. But that does not negate the fact that it's many of us. Black women been having babies of all different hues and colors for at least the last 200,000 years. We all are connected in the great circle of life. Thank you, Mufasa. But at the same time, that Leo, just like Judah, in the order of divine intervention, is saying, remember who you are. And the lineage of Joseph is saying, in the last days, I will pour my spirit out on all flesh. My sons and my daughters shall prophesy. Old men shall go and dream dreams. We have been giving the thinking and interpreting powers from Joseph, and at the same time, been given the ability to roar like a lion, loud, like our ancestor Judah. We are remembering who we are. That's what we're supposed to do. So, anyway, the next time we come on here, what we're going to be doing is talking about the significance of the mother's story. Because without mama, ain't none of us here. And before I go, I said I was going to tell y'all about this dream that I had several years back. Before I began to dive deep into my ascension journey, I had a dream. I was in the living room with my mom, and she was just kind of, we were just sitting there talking, what I'm saying, nothing major. And she was kind of walking back and forth, and she was talking, yada, 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 or whatever. And I began to look along towards where the wall in her living room would be. And I saw like this big screen. It would have been what you would consider the equivalent of about a 70-inch screen, television screen or so. But what was interesting is it was kind of like it had like a slight bend to it. And it looked as if it wasn't like exactly a picture on it, but it was like displaying the world, like all 7 continents. And I saw it, and I just kept listening to what mama was talking about. We was talking, and then some said, "Look at it again," and I did. And when I did, there was no water. It was like the whole of the planet was brown, was dirt. Like it just wasn't no water. All the oceans was just gone. And I guess my mind was trying to figure out, like, where am I? Like, when am I? Because it just didn't make no sense to me. Where was the water? The water had left. And all of a sudden, it was like this side of my brain, it was like it started trying to pull out of like my avatar body, like my person. And I grabbed my head like this and I just started doing like this because and I heard like this loud, it was like a loud, mm, you know how you get them things that people use at a football game that but it was like a particular, it was like a harmonic frequency. It was like several sounds in one. And it was all like on this side. And it was like it was just pulling me out of myself. But my mama, she didn't see. It was like she was totally and completely oblivious to what was going on. I woke up. I was like, oh, what did it just see? This is why my nerves, man. Y'all, I woke up and I think I want to go get me something to drink, something to calm my nerves, calm my nerves down, because my nerves was shot. So, got myself together, got my nerves together, 'cause my nerves was bad. I went back to sleep. All right. I went back to sleep and I began to dream again. This time in the dream, I was above the earth. And it was like I was in this spaceship. And I was looking down on the earth. And all I could see was black and orange. There was orange spots of fiery, big, huge spots of fire over Asia, and big, huge spots over the North and South American part of the planet, and other spots, Africa, other spots. And I could tell someone was there, felt like a father figure. I could tell someone was there, and there was others. Because you could just kind of feel and hear in the background. There were others. And then all of a sudden, I saw the planet split in two. And there just was bright orange everywhere. And I grabbed my heart because I could feel heat. It was just hard to breathe. And I was fine. I was okay, but it just, it was just hot. And it felt like all of the memories of this place was being burnt up. All of the memories of family members, of friends, of loved ones being burnt up. And then I woke up. It's hard to tell. I've only told a couple of people about this dream, but it's hard to tell even now. And because I dreamed that I'm responsible for it, I'm following instructions just like everybody else. And I was instructed to tell that story about that dream now. We've been sent here to do a job. And if we are not allowed to do that job, God, universe, and nature has a way of dealing with things that choose not to come to order and choose not to get in line with divine order, because we are all connected in the great circle of life. We all have a right to live and to be free. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump off here. Like I said, please like, share, and subscribe. Share these videos with your family members, friends, loved ones, whomever. And do your own research. It's vitally important. So that way we can stop this vicious cycle of other people telling us what our story is. Nobody has the right to tell you who you are. How they gonna tell you who you are? You the one who been living your life the whole time. So, anyway, peace and blessings to you all. I wish positivity, love, and light to you all. God bless you. God keep you. And we will see you next time.